So this is Samsung's S21 Ultra. I've had the phone for well over a month now, basically since it came out in January. I'm going to spit some specs out for you real quick so you know which model as I have here. So this is the Snapdragon 888 version, 12 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigabytes of storage. And I also don't use the case, or I do use the case 99% of the time, and I don't use the screen protector, just so you guys know. Sometimes they have a pre-installed one. This year they don't have one. Speaking of other things they don't have this year, no headphones, no charging brick, and no adapter in the box. Not that I've ever included it, but just things that maybe they should include next time, because I'm coming from the S10 Plus, and let me tell you, I'm not ready, or I am ready, but like some people may not be ready to switch over to no headphone jack and may have headphones that require a headphone jack, or some may not have a fast charger yet. But luckily, Samsung is, depending on where you purchase your phone, Samsung is nice enough to give you some credit to get some stuff with the phone. So that it can include a fast charger, headphones, wireless headphones, and then other stuff. So they may have you covered, but still, they should have just kept it in the box. Pretty big bullshit if you ask me, but whatever. It is what it is. So to start, let's go ahead and talk about the hardware and design about the phone. Alright, so the big and obvious, this phone is super big, and it's super heavy in my opinion. A little too heavy and too big for my liking. If you're not used to huge phones, you're going to take some time to get used to it. Now, even for the big hands, like I think I have pretty big hands. Like, look, my hand is way bigger than this phone. And even then, I feel uncomfortable after a while holding it for such a long time, especially when you use a freaking case. It makes it even heavier, especially when you use the S Pen case. It makes it heavier, wider, thicker. Like, it just makes it much heavier, and it can get tiring after a while. I have to switch hands every once in a while, or else I will get tired. So that's something to know. If you're not a big fan of big phones already, yeah, you're definitely not gonna like this one. Definitely steer away from this beast over here. But yeah, it's pretty big, it's thick, it's chunky, but you know, it also feels premium. With all that feeling, how big it is and how thick it is and how heavy it is, it feels premium. This son of a gun here feels super premium. Like my S10 Plus, it felt like a toy after using it for such a long time. When I went to this felt like a heavy beast and a monster. Like, it felt like you had the power in your hands, the power of the sun in the palm of my hands. You know what I mean? But the S10 Plus, on the other hand, it wasn't cheap, no, but it felt like a little toy, and just something to know. But there are also negatives, which is it's tiring after a while. But otherwise, it's got matte black. You know, everyone keeps talking about it. You know, it's a matte black, love, whatever. Yeah, it's nice. I will admit it. It's nice. That's why people keep talking about it, because it really is nice. Now, personally, I do like matte black. That's why I like it. The matte feeling is also really nice. It is a little slippery, so just keep that in mind. You may have to use a skin or a case if you really want to protect it. But otherwise, it's actually pretty comfortable. The camera bump here, while it's actually pretty big, like, it's big, I will admit it. It gives you a nice spot to rest your finger to be able to hold your phone properly. And also the camera bump merges nicely with the sides here, however you want to call it. Well, it looks nice. It also looks kind of big and fat, in my opinion. Like, it looks like a thick camera bump from there. And I don't know if I like it. It's okay. It's not bad. But overall, the design's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. At the bottom here, this is where you have your USB-C and one firing speaker. Now, at first I was like, why didn't they just put two firing speakers? But then I thought about it. It makes a lot of sense. You know, when you hold your phone, like, horizontally, you're going to cover up at least one of those firing speakers. So if I had two, you would cover up either the bottom one or top one, however you hold your phone. So now it makes sense to always hold your phone horizontally with your finger where there's no speakers. So you won't be covering up any speakers when you're watching a video, playing a game. You'll be good. So that's a really good idea that they did there. And that spot, that's where the SIM card goes. Oh, yeah, the SIM card goes. I almost said micro SD card because, you know, there's no freaking micro SD card. That really is like, what the hell? They should have just kept it. So if you're not ready to be able to or have other options or backups for when you run out of storage on your phone, you're going to want to upgrade to a higher storage, or just don't get this phone at all. Because if you don't already use cloud or having a backup, like my backup is transferring all my photos and videos to either my computer or my tablet, which has micro SD card support. So I'll just store all those stuff over there. But yeah, if you don't have a backup plan or you don't use the cloud storage, I would steer away from this because there's no micro SD card support, which is a big bummer. So, hey, Samsung, bring it back next time, please. Moving on, that's where the SIM card goes because there's no micro SD card. At the left-hand side, nothing, flush, clean, nice. And then on the other side, you got your power button and your volume rocker button. I like where they placed the volume button. I mean, the volume button and the power button because it's nice. It's a nice spot, in my opinion. When you're holding it with my right hand, because I'm right-handed, thumb lands right perfectly on it every single time. No need to worry about where it is. No need to stretch. No gymnastics needed. Press. You're good. And the volume button, same thing. Just move up a little bit and you can feel it. And then there you go. Other side, no issues. And then even when you hold it with your left hand, your one finger over here, what is this? Oh, your middle finger. Your middle finger lands right on it. And depending on how you hold it, at least how I hold it, it lands right on the power button. And then the volume button, same thing. Do a little bit of gymnastics and there you go. But otherwise, I like the button placement. That's pretty good. I like it. At the top, pretty clean. You got two, I believe those are microphones. So for studio recording, I don't know, whatever you need those microphones for. And on the back, the big ass freaking camera bump. So you got a bunch of cameras there. I'll talk about those later. And that's about it as far as like the design here. And I guess we'll talk about the screen here. So the screen's got a little bit of curves, just a little bit. They should have just made it flat. No reason to even bother putting a little bit of curves. It does make it look premium and make it feel premium, I guess. But just make it flat. Like you're already going back to what you used to have. So might as well just go back the whole way, right? And then you got that little punch hole display up here, which isn't bad at all. Seriously, if it bothers you, then you're crazy because because it doesn't bother me at all. It's way better than having a notch, way better than having a little pill hole display or pill hole cutout. It's pretty good. It's symmetric. It's nice. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Jesus. But yeah, it's pretty nice. I would still, yes, I would love to see under the display. Hopefully next year, fingers crossed, or later this year. Fingers crossed. But not bad for now. And that display though, whew, it's nice. It's a nice display. Like this is a nice display. I know every year Samsung tops what they did last year as far as like not just like the whole phone, but the display. They always top themselves every single time, and they did it again this year. And to be honest, every year I feel like I don't notice it that much because I'm not super like knowledgeable of like, oh my god, I'm not gonna pixel peep here. Like, oh my god, you can see this. Nah. Let me tell you, this display is fantastic. Whether you have it at 1080p or 1440p, this display is gonna treat you so well. Believe me, it is. It really is. No need to complain. Of course, it's also Samsung, so on Samsung's flagships, you're going to get the best display. And this time around, you also get variable refresh rate. Now, one thing about that to note is the variable refresh rate is kind of whack sometimes. Sometimes it like goes down to some low refresh rate in the middle of an app, or when you close an app and go back to the app, it'll be at a low refresh rate. Then just wait, give it a second, it'll refresh faster, make it smoother. But overall, pretty good. It's very, very, very smooth in my opinion. I like it a lot. Also up here, down here, more like down here, yeah, a new fingerprint sensor. Now, people say or are saying it's like something bigger and something faster. Personally, coming from the S10 Plus, I feel like it's the same speed. I don't know. Like it might just be me, but I think it's not a little bit slower, but it's about the same. Nothing special. It is a bit better in placement for sure, because before it was lower for me. Now it's more at a more comfortable spot whenever you place your finger. So that's something to note there. But I think the speed and the size, it definitely did increase. I've seen it in the light. You can see in the sun, the actual sensor. You can see it under the display, and it does look bigger, but it's not by a ton. I would love to see the whole display, like the whole bottom display, be a fingerprint sensor. But that's maybe in the future someday. But yeah, otherwise that wraps up pretty much the hardware and design. I think this is good, but at the end of the day, let me tell you, at the end of the day, this is going in the case. And so no matter how beautiful, how comfortable it is new in the hand, this bad boy is going in the case. I'm protecting this boy. As you spent probably well over $1,000. Maybe you got it cheaper on a deal, but still, you spent a lot of money on this phone, and you got to protect this boy. So I'm putting it in the case. Well, that's that. Let's move on to the day-to-day performance. Okay, so as far as day-to-day performance, this one is fantastic. But first, I want to talk about a little bit of the durability. So, because that's part of the day-to-day use. And so far, I felt like it's pretty good. Like I mentioned already, no screen protector, but then a case most of the time. And so that's led to like no issues, no damage at all. Now, as far as micro scratches, I don't see any big ones. Like I don't see like major scratches anywhere. And I also don't feel like I see many micro scratches, if at all. Maybe one. That's about it. But otherwise, pretty good actually. For over a month's use, it's pretty good. Holding up pretty well. And I've put this in my pocket, put this in my gym bag, and no issues at all. But besides that, durability is great, or it seems great. Don't know what it would be like if I drop it without a case. Not gonna find out. But the phone itself, the software, the specs, the hardware, everything tied together, this thing gives you a great package. It really does. Now, to keep it in simple terms, I'm not a heavy user, so I feel like I do your basic stuff on here, which would be like YouTube, a couple games, not intense games at least, listen to music, text, Snapchat, social media, all that kind of stuff, internet, whatever. That's the basic stuff that I do. I don't push my phone to the limits, I don't think, which you could say, that's too much phone for you then. Yeah, this could be a little too much phone for me, but that's okay. I still want the best of the best. But the thing is, this will have you backed up for years to come then. Because if you don't push this to the limits, like as apps get updated and whatnot, and they need more out of your phone, this will have your back then. So the basic things, this one has you covered. It's good at receiving calls. At least I feel like people can hear me well. I haven't asked them, hey, can you hear me well? I think they can. They haven't complained. I haven't had any now this might be depending on your network as well and your internet and Wi-Fi speeds. Everything seems fast, No issues there, no dropped calls, no nothing. It seems pretty good. Haven't had many connection issues, except for the one time I put my phone in my locker and I didn't send a text, and I was like, or not a text, then I sent an email, and I was like, what the hell, man? But anyways, that's a different story. That's just network issues, but that's okay. Otherwise, the phone gives you so much. The display is a great experience, whether again you have it at 1440p or 1080p. Just don't put it on 60 hertz. Don't even do that. Don't bother. Just leave it at 1440p or 1080, whatever you prefer. Or doesn't matter actually, because regardless, it gives you a great experience. Everything feels smooth, yeah, and it also looks fantastic. Whether you're out in the blazing sun, and sun directly hitting your screen, you can still see perfectly. At least, for the most part, you can still use it pretty normally, and you can also use it just fine in the dark. I mean, I'm not going to test it super bright colors in the dark. You can do that if you want, but it looks fantastic in whichever environment you put it in. So sunlight, good. Dark room, good. Normal use, good. As far as the power and all that stuff, the phone runs fantastic. Seriously, I don't think I've had many issues at all, any lag, at all. I think I've had a couple apps close on me, but I think it's just the app itself being a bitch versus the phone being a bitch. And I did mention already, but there is a few times where the refresh rate does go to a lower refresh rate for some reason. I don't know why it does that, but it happens every once in a while. Just something to note that it might drop down on a rate every once in a while and then go back up to its refresh rate, the high refresh rate. Because I don't know why it does that. It's just a little bit out of whack. The phone does warm up a little bit when you're using it intensely. I used it for Fortnite. Not many people play Fortnite, I don't think, on their day-to-day usage. But I was like, I should give it a shot. I'm sure it'll work just fine. And it does. It works just fine. But after a round or two, it did warm up just a tad bit. Not enough to hurt you and bother you, but you feel it. You're like, oh my God, why is it so warm? But yeah, it's warm. I think any phone will warm up after a long intensive use, especially a game like Fortnite that uses so many resources. Otherwise, other games simple games I don't know, Clash Clans, Clash Royale work great. Pokemon Go works great. I use that for a little bit. No issues there. And I personally am a fan of Samsung's UI, especially with a phone like this, because this phone is big, right? And so Samsung UI, the UI 3.1, it's optimized for big phones. So when you open an app, say Messages, you have this big black space here, so that you can easily handle this phone one-handedly, which is amazing. I love it. And there's other features that Samsung provides that many people might not be aware of. For example, the Edge. I'm not sure many people use it anymore, but I still use it on a day-to-day because I have it as a clear, transparent bar. So you can secretly have this little bar right here. Swipe, you got a bunch of apps, and boom, it's another quick way to access your apps. I use it all the time. I love it. And also small things like, for example, before, I used to do this manually with the Good Luck app, which I'll explain a little bit in a second. But see how it's transparent? I used to have to do that manually with one of the Good Luck map modules. Now it's just included in there, which is fantastic. I love that. And speaking of Good Luck, there's so many features already on the phone, right? Good Lock gives you way more features. So if you don't think there's enough stuff on your phone to mess with and customize, you got another app to download, my friend. If you don't, at least if you don't know about it, Good Lock, get that. There's a bunch of other customization things you can do on there. I don't have time to mess with it. I used a couple of them, but if you have time, go ahead, try it out. It's cool. Gives you more options and more customization. It's crazy how much Samsung gives you. And this one is also really great for multitasking. So when you're on the toilet like me, you can multitask. Like I watch a video while browsing Reddit. Boom. Multitasking like a boss. Browse Reddit, browse the internet, browse Instagram while have a video as a mini player or half screen, however you prefer. And then boom, I'm a boss. And also, if you want to be a bigger boss, this thing has S Pen support. Now, I didn't use it very often. I used it just when I had my tablet out and I was using my tablet and using my S Pen on that. I would then transfer over or transition over to my phone and then boom, use it there. I do have the S Pen case and I did a review on it. In short, don't get it unless you don't have the S Pen at all. Like if you don't have any access to any S Pen, get it. It's a nice accessory if you need it. I mean, if you want an S Pen all the time with you, I would consider a no. But if you don't and just want an accessory, it's a cool accessory. But yeah, this has S Pen support. So if you want to show off your length, go ahead, get that S Pen. It'll be pretty cool. So yeah, Samsung throws a bunch of stuff at you. It can be overwhelming at times, but it's better to have it than to not have it at all. One of my favorite features here is being able to use the Galaxy Buds Pro between my tablet and my phone so seamlessly. Like it's like, I don't know if, I guess this is how iPhones work, but and Apple products work. But say I'm watching a video on my phone and then I decide to listen to Spotify on my tablet, it'll automatically pause the video here and switch to my tablet and start playing music on there without having to go into the settings, and just magic like that. Sometimes it can be a little spotty because you're like watching a video here, but you want to play music like in the background, and it'll be like, oh, what the hell are you doing? You know, and you gotta like go into the settings and change it manually. It's still pretty nice though. It's pretty nice. The Galaxy Buds doing that is nice. And I don't know if like all Buds can do that, but I know the Galaxy Buds Pro can do that. I forgot to mention the Pro part. It's the Buds Pro, just so you know, just so you know. But yeah, however your life is, if you're a gamer, this phone will have you covered. If you are a multitasking boss, this phone will have you covered. If you need an S Pen, boom, this phone will have you covered. This phone just can do pretty much everything you throw at it. So you really won't have a bad experience as far as the performance on this. On a day-to-day usage, you won't have a bad day. Unless, of course, you do something to it, like you download some malware, maybe you're screwed. But otherwise, this phone's performance is really good. Where else is really good is back here. The cameras, at least for the most part. So let's go ahead and talk about the cameras. Okay, so as far as using the cameras, I will say I'm not the most knowledgeable as far as like camera quality and all that kind of stuff. I point, I shoot, and I take a photo or video. That's how I use my camera. So with that being said, I think photos and videos turn out pretty good. So in case you're curious about the quality or like this type of cameras and lenses we have on here, or sensors I should say, there you go. In case you need it, you got the ultra wide, you got your telephoto, 2 telephotos, and then you got your main. So pretty good on your focus and your flash. But how does this all translate over to the real stuff? Pretty good, I would say. Like I said, I'm not super knowledgeable in the terms of what I should be using here, but let me tell you, photos look fantastic and videos look fantastic. For photos, this thing's got you covered, so you can zoom out as much as you need. Not as much as you need, but you can zoom out with the ultra wide, and then you can start to zoom in bit by bit and be creeper level. Like if you really want to be creeper level, you can. Now, I will say that once you get to 100 times zoom, it is a little bit washed out, but it is pretty good, especially in the ideal conditions, perfect lighting. You will get pretty solid, for the most part, interesting looking and kind of usable photos. Video, pretty much same thing. You get some great, it got you covered, ultra wide, all the way to zooming in. So pretty good on that, in my opinion. I think it looks pretty good. So, and that also means that everything in between is pretty good. So like 30x for photos is pretty good, and then 10x is pretty good for video. So I do like zooming in, zooming out. I don't think it's a gimmick. I think it's a nice feature because I don't know why, but I tend to zoom in, zoom out when I use or test phones. Like it's just something I naturally do. I don't know why. See how the quality looks. But yeah, zooming in, zooming out, Works fantastic on that stuff. Some things to note that I want to note here. I noticed that when you're trying to use 4K 60, you have to pick the lens before you hit the shutter button, or else you can switch between the different lenses. So if you pick like the ultra wide, any zooming in is gonna be digital zoom. So when you use 4K 60, make sure you use the lens or pick the lens before you start recording, so that you get the ideal, quality and I guess frame, lens, whatever zoom that you want in the ideal situation that you're trying to record. So just something to note there. But the big negative I've gotten out of this camera, just that this is a big negative that kind of like almost kills the whole camera. Not really, but this is what I gotta say. The phone and the camera warms up a lot, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's software related or if it's hardware related, but it warms up a lot, and that's something that's kind of a concern. So if you're gonna be using your camera a lot, I would be careful with this phone. I'm not sure if everyone's experience is gonna be the same thing, or if mine is just this one, if mine's the only one doing this, but that's something to remember or to know. Be careful. If you have one already, let me know if you're having experience with the overheating in your phone, especially up in this area of the camera itself, if it's overheating too much. Other things on here that I want to note: 8K, 108 megapixels, and then a bunch of new modes like director's view and what else is there? Single take, bunch of new features. I don't use them. They're there if you need them. Again, Samsung throws so much at you that you can use on here. Whether you use it or not, it's up to you. Personally, I'm sticking to 4K 30 and then just regular photos, because basic me with cameras. So that's about it with cameras. So with all this going on, can the phone last? Can it last you the whole day? Let's talk about that. Okay, so the battery, I think it's pretty decent. Now, as I already mentioned, I'm not a heavy user, so I don't feel like I'm pushing my phone to the absolute limits as far as the battery goes. I usually get about 2 to 4 hours of screen on time, if that matters. So I'm really not pushing it to the limits. I'm also not using intense apps all the time. So I'm not video editing. I'm not editing pics. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm here not playing intense games. It's the basic stuff that I'm doing. So I'm not really pushing the battery to the limits, like I said. So if you're a heavy user, I feel like you should be able to last pretty much the whole day. You might have to charge up or top up a little bit up in the afternoon. I get about an estimated battery life of about a day to about an hour, a day with a little bit over a day, somewhere around that time. So it's not bad, I would say, at least. So usually with my routine, I will either charge this in the morning, like an hour after I woke up, or charge it overnight. So then that will lead me up until either the night or the next morning when I have to charge again. I don't force myself to charge overnight if I don't have to, because sometimes I end the day with around 40 to maybe even 60% battery life. If that's the case, yeah, I'm just going to wait till the next morning and then charge then, so I don't have to keep my phone plugged in the whole time or leave it on a wireless charger the whole night, and which is what I usually do. So at night, I'll charge. If I have to charge overnight, I'll wirelessly charge at a slow rate, so it takes more time to charge. And then if I have to charge in the morning, I'll use fast charging. So that I use 25 watts of charging, super fast charging. And speaking of the charging, the speeds you get on here. So you have the option of regular charging, which I have no idea how long that takes. 15 watts of charging, which is fast charging. I think that's roughly maybe 2 hours of charging time, maybe a little bit more. And then you have 25 watts of charging, so roughly about a little over an hour. So not the greatest as far as like innovative speeds as far as how fast your phone can charge in this department. So Samsung didn't really kick it up this year. They didn't include a 45 watt charger in the box, so they're not going to give you 45 watts of charging of speed here, but still decent speed. So it's like the perfect combo here, so that your phone's longevity life lasts a decent amount of time, and also gives you a decent speeds, but also not the greatest compared to like other companies that give you like super fast charging. But overall, I think it's not bad. The battery lasts me all day, and then sometimes I feel like if you really want to get long battery, put it 1080, keep it at variable refresh rate, and you might be able to get about a day and a half. I did try that actually. I did 1080p with variable refresh rate. I was able to get to about, I think, halfway through the second day, so about like 3 in the afternoon, I had to charge my phone with a 1440. And I did forgot to mention that, but I do use 1440p and a variable refresh rate with dark mode on this, and that's how I get most of the day. And again, I'm not really babying it to make sure I'm not using the phone too much or not using it enough and stuff like that. So I just go about my day, and It lasts me the whole day. So I say the battery is pretty good on here. So now let's move on to my final verdict. Overall, this phone is amazing. It really is. And do I recommend it? Yeah, I definitely do. As long as you're a power user, as long as you can afford it. Just make sure you get the phone on a deal, a discount, or some trading deal because, yeah, paying $1,200 for this just for the phone, not the best. And also make sure you remember about the Samsung or the camera issue. So if you're a heavy camera user, make sure you keep noting that because that might be something you want to watch out for. But yeah, overall, pretty good. But remember, no headphone jack, no micro SD card support, no MST. I didn't mention that because I didn't use it, and no charger on the brick. So don't feel like you have to change your life just to be able to use this phone. If you already have a daily routine with a phone you have, buy something that has something similar to that, or keep your phone because don't change your life just to be able to use this phone unless you want to. It's up to you. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out.